Yep.
Hello, my name is Andrew Faith, and this is Jake Young. Today we are discussing congressional district lines and who we think should draw them. So Jake, to start us off, what are district lines?
Well, district lines are congressional boundaries used for the congressional election. Those districts decide who's voted in for Congress and for the House of Representatives.
Who draws the lines right now?
Well, it varies state by state. There's a couple different ways that lines are drawn. One way is an advisory commission, which draws the line and advises the state legislature on how to properly move the districts out. There's also an independent commission, which is independent of the state legislature completely, and they draw in and enact their own lines. And finally, in most states, there's a state legislature, which is the local government draws the lines, and this leads to a lot of bias in the way that lines are drawn.
How is it biased?
Well, Andrew, as you can see, like here in North Carolina, the Republican state legislature, using gerrymandering, has drawn some very biased districts that pack in a lot of the Democratic vote. So they have a lot of districts won here, and it would be a lot more even. There's less bias in the government, and they'd have a different type of commission running the district lines.
Cool.
So, how do you think the lines should be drawn?
I believe that they should be drawn using an independent committee, because the independent committee represents both sides, the Democrats and the Republicans. They're not overly influenced by just one particular party, and generally take the best of both worlds, like the best ideas of both parties. And my favorite part about the independent commission is nobody in the commission can be a legislator or a state official, so there's no politics corrupting them. Some states even ban lobbyists and legislative staff from being in the commission. They also prevent commissioners from running for office in their districts that they draw. Together they prevent legislators and candidates from drawing their own lines and prevent gerrymandering for the most part.
Some pretty good points there, Andrew.
What do you think? What do you think? Who do you think should draw the lines?
Well, I think an advisory commission should draw the lines, one such as in Iowa. Now, in Iowa, they've had it's been a different type of advisory committee. It has a lot more power than the regular ones, so they got a lot more, they actually get their lines drawn and enacted. They've actually had every line that they've drawn since 1980 that's been put into the state, and as you can see, it's very even across here. Not a lot of sneaking out, such in North Carolina. Very even, very square-like districts, properly represent the population. And I feel like this type of advisory committee works because it helps the politicians actually represent the people. They're actually honest, not like other politicians where they have easy landslide victories and they don't have to worry about the people. But in Iowa, the races are much tighter because of the way that the lines are drawn, and it's a much more equal legislation, and just the representation of the population is right, unlike in North Carolina where it's skewed.
So, do you think the lines will ever change?
I really don't think they'll ever change. I think it'll be really tough. The states have a lot of power, and there's literal, small amounts of federal power over it right now. There's one or two laws on how the lines should be drawn. Mm-hmm. I think it needs to be more. I think the advisory system helps a lot because they enact more laws for the politicians to follow, so both sides are happy. So do you think they'll ever change?
I don't think they will ever change, but I think that it'll get less corrupt by using these committees that are taking place in a couple of states. But I believe that the Iowa system will be harder to implement in other states because of population, because Iowa it's a large surface area, but not a lot of people live in it. Right. And plus the diversity in the state isn't nearly the same as Maryland.
Okay.
So that's all the time we have for today. I hope you see us next time where we see if Kanye is running for president in 2020. Thank you.